Good morning. Welcome to Webb and congratulations on your admission. All right, so I've been working on a project this past week that it's really important to me to get right. I'm writing a letter to our graduates, and the head's letter is a long tradition at Webb that was started by our founder. So it's a letter that's presented alongside the diploma and feels kind of important to write it well. It's not something that ChatGPT should do. And so it's my first year of head of school. I'm really honored to continue the tradition and renew it. And so I've been thinking about what to write. And last Friday, sitting at my desk and just having a really hard time, everything seemed too mundane and not quite special enough for a commencement letter. So I thought I would just put it away for the weekend. And I had a busy weekend. We had Webb Day here, which is a really fun tradition. We had, my brother was visiting, my son was home from college. So on Sunday morning, I decided to walk down to the front gate and get my newspaper. I'm the only person on campus who still gets a physical newspaper. And I walked down, and it was a beautiful morning. So I'm walking back up, and I walk through the entrance that you might have come through today, and I see our mission on the wall. I think I have a picture of it for you. So I see the mission carved in stone. Think boldly, mindfully, and creatively. Act with honor and moral courage. Lead with distinction, and serve with a generous spirit. And I get like a little tingle, when I walk by it. And so I walk back up towards my house. I walk up by the chapel, and I see the doors. And on the left is a Latin phrase, tenax proposite, which means tenacity of purpose. It's not something that we've said a lot, though I think the spirit of it really lives here, right? Having some tenacity, some steadfastness in your whatever you're taking on. And then on the right, it says principes non homines, which means leaders, not ordinary humans. And so this is a phrase that's kind of an aspirational idea, that a Webb student aspires to be more, to be a leader, right, to make a difference in the world. And then I'm walking just the last bit more, and I'm thinking about other physical manifestations of our values on campus. And I think to the museum, and if you have a chance to go in there today, you'll see one of my favorite objects, which is a time spiral. This is the original time spiral that Ray Alf, who is a early science teacher at the school, created. And he said this, spiral represents time on Earth, and we all live in this little speck of time, and we have to think meaningfully about what we want to do with our moment of time, right? So it's something that at once places you in this big story, but also challenges you to think about what you're going to do that's meaningful in your life. And so I got home, and I knew exactly what I wanted to write. I wanted to tell the graduates that I had a belief that they would continue to live by these enduring values, the values that are etched here on our campus in stone, our mission, on wood, our precepts, and that this was their moment of time and how exciting that is for them as they head off into the world. So it might be a little weird for Admitted Student Day that I'm telling you about what I'm going to write at a commencement letter. And I know parents in the room might start getting a little teary thinking about, the end of your high school at the very beginning. But I wanted to share it with you because I think it really sums up what a Webb education is about. As you walk around campus today, you're going to hear so much about our amazing academic program, our exciting co-curriculars. You might even watch a couple of athletic events, and you're going to meet a lot of wonderful people. And I hope that you're also going to get a sense of how a Webb education is for students who are looking for something that's a little bit bigger than themselves. They're looking to live a life of meaning and purpose, and that part of what we do here is to prepare students for that big future. We want them to do it here, and we want them their entire life to live according to those values. And I think this is really important, especially right now. We live in some pretty trying times. There are a lot of global challenges that we face. And, in the LA Times this week, they were publishing about the happiness index that they do. And, Americans are a little less happy than they've been, but mostly what I noticed is that people under 30 are significantly less happy. right? And we all know that there's been a teen mental health crisis in the world, and a lot of teens are really asking themselves if they, what's the meaning of life, right? And so I think now more than ever, being in a place that really teaches them about their future, about how they can control it and shape it and forge their own future and our global future is really important. So I hope you'll get a sense of that as you walk around here today. I think that aspirations and dreams that live in our community are kind of inherent to being in California, right? So California has often been a place that attracts people that want to dream big. I don't know if you've ever seen the All Dreams Welcome tourist slogans. In 1920s, when Thompson and Vivian Webb traveled across the country to settle here, they certainly had big dreams. And when I was 18 and I was traveling across, I grew up in Colorado, to attend college in California, I had big dreams, right? So this is my high school graduation cake I share with you that my dad designed. And it was a big deal thinking about coming to California, this place that I imagined as transformative and full of opportunity and dreams, right? So that's me shouting from my little I went to a big public high school with 4,000 students, so our stadium was where we had commencement, and that's me shouting, like, California, here I come. And I think California is an incredibly dynamic place, right? It is the largest subnational economy in the world. It's a global center of creativity and technological innovation, right? We have creative industries from entertainment, right? Disney, Warner Brothers, to fine arts, right? The Getty, the Broad, LACMA. We have incredible science, right, from aerospace, like JPL, SpaceX, Edwards Air Force Base, to paleontology, right, with our own ALF Museum that, knits us together with places like the La Brea Tar Pits. We are a center of technology and business with Silicon Valley and Silicon Beach. We have incredible academic institutions. I mean, Webb, first of all, but, USC, Caltech, Stanford, the UC system, the Claremont Colleges, Occidental. It's an incredible brain trust in California. And we also have just natural beauty, right? Yosemite, Joshua Tree, the Channel Islands, the mountains, the beaches. It is just a gloriously beautiful place. And we also are super rich in cultural diversity. California is one of the most racially diverse states in the nation, and I think we benefit from the cultural diversity of our state and Los Angeles in particular. So California is an incredible place, and what that means for Webb is that we have an opportunity to really live beyond our campus. So we recently had Unbounded Days, which is a 3 to 5 day adventure that we have every February, March. And it's basically an opportunity for everything to stop and for students to go on these adventures with faculty that are immersive and that really take us beyond our calendar and our campus. So I taught a course with a colleague on women in leadership. So we had a women in leadership lab. If you check out the Webb Canyon Chronicle, they just posted a video about our course. But one of the things we did is we went to visit different alumni who live around Los Angeles. So this is a picture of us with Judge Frimpong, who is a Webb graduate. She is a federal judge for the Central District, and we visited her courtroom and had an opportunity to talk with her in her chambers. And the students found her incredibly inspiring. If you spend 2 minutes with her, you are inspired. But it was just an opportunity for us to explore LA. And I've explored a lot of places with students in my 13 years here. I've had dinner with kids in Little Tokyo. I've hiked Half Dome with seniors twice. I've been lazy on the beach in Laguna. I've been to Techstars to listen to business entrepreneurs, talk about how they got where they are. I've watched The Marriage of Figaro at the LA Opera. And one of my favorites is to go to the Claremont McKenna Athenaeum and hear speakers, but the best part of that is discussing with students their thoughts on the van ride home. So there's so much opportunity for us in Los Angeles, and so I hope also while you're here today, you will ask faculty and students what they did for Unbounded Days and where they were going this weekend, because a lot of our experience is so much more than just on our campus, but really out into this broader community that we live in. All right. This is a picture I threw in of Joshua Tree. My son went on this Unbounded Days trip a few years ago, but I don't think that's him. Not sure. Okay. So I've talked to you about our history and our values, and I've talked to you about our location, but I also want you to know that this is a particularly exciting time to join Webb. So a couple of years ago, we had in this theater a chapel talk by Lonnie Johnson, who's a parent and also an inventor, right? So he has invented many things, but the invention that you'll know from him the most is the Super Soaker. And he was talking to us about technology in the future, and he put up a slide that had this statistic: AI will exceed human brain capability in 30 years. Now, all of you sit in the audience know this now because, of course, ChatGPT has been released and everyone's talking all about AI, but this was a couple of years ago before that was a big part of the conversation nationwide, globally. And I remember sitting in the back and thinking, wow, that is incredible. Right, so we have launched in January the AI project at Webb, and I think that one of the goals of our next 5 to 10 years will be really imagining what this technology means for a high school education. How do we prepare students for the world beyond? What are some of the core questions that we've always talked about that we need to continue? How do you know what you know? That's a hugely important question in this era, right? And also helping them to learn how to integrate these tools into their lives in ways that are ethical and healthy and productive, right? So I think that's one of the exciting questions. And I know Abhimantha, one of our alums, is working with us on this project, and he'll be around to talk with you more about it today. Another reason that this is an exciting time to join Webb is that institutionally, we're in a pretty exciting place. So this is kind of a timeline of some of the major events in our history, right? We were founded as a single-sex school for boys. In the 1981, we added a girls' school, and over time we've added, our museum. Our museum's become accredited. Our educational program has transformed. Now we are building a new school model that creates one school rather than two schools, as we've been since 1981. And this is an exciting evolutionary moment for us. It's an opportunity for us to think about what we're doing, why we do it, and to have a chance to kind of live an institutional history together. We will be bringing the best of the best along with us, but also having the opportunity to think about something new. So, for example, the letter that I described at the beginning is something that's always been in our boys' school diplomas, but never been in our girls' school diplomas. And so that's something that we'll do now for all of our students, right? So it's just an opportunity for us to think about it, where we are. And I think it's an exciting time for a student to join because in the spirit of what happened in the 20s and what happened in the 80s, students were really involved in the creation of a lot of the identity of the school. And so we're excited for students to be part of that. Right now I have a SEAL committee that's helping us to think about what our SEAL might look like and how we take our various SEALs you'll see around campus today and really create one SEAL for the next century. So it's pretty exciting for a high school student to be part of that moment. I'm excited about it too. So as we approach spring break, I've been thinking a lot about where I was last spring break, which is walking the Camino de Santiago with students from Webb. There were about 30 faculty and staff that went on the trip. The Camino de Santiago is a pilgrimage trail that connects and ends in Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain, and pilgrims have been walking this trail for about 1,000 years. And we did 60 miles in over about 5 days. That was a pause for you to be impressed. And it was really an opportunity to toggle, I think, for me, between the journey that we are on as a school, right? I did this last spring. It was right before I was becoming the head of school. And the path that we walk on together, the paths our ancestors walked on, and the path that we are creating for our future students. And so I think as we think about AI, as we think about the school coming together in the one school model, it's a really exciting opportunity for us to reflect on how we bring these core values and experiences forward, and also as we're innovating, how we lay the path for future generations. So it's a dynamic and meaningful process that we're engaging in, and we're so excited for you to be part of it. So once again, congratulations and welcome to Webb. I hope that gives you a little sense of some of the bigger ideas that are embedded in the programs that you'll be part of and that you'll have a chance to see today. So welcome. All right, it's my pleasure to turn things over to Mike Ho, our assistant head of school, who will tell you a little bit more about our program.
Good morning, and again, congratulations. If you could just do me a favor, turn to the person next to you, smile, and give them a high five or like a fist bump, something like that. Awesome. Great. Okay, good. You're all congratulating each other too. So, I know you'll hear it from us and from our team, but that's just a practice that I do in my classes as well, just to get the blood flow a little bit, particularly, at 9:30 in the morning. Some of you might be in different time zones, right? So we're just trying to get you all here with us today. So as Dr. Smith said, my name is Michael Ho. I'm the assistant head of school here. I'm also a proud graduate of Webb in the class of 2004. So I have the unique privilege of seeing Webb both through the lens of a former student, where many of you are sitting now, and also now as a faculty member. And it's just a really cool and exciting place. I'm going to talk a little bit about our program and all the details and all the things that we offer here that are super exciting and that make it a really engaging and dynamic place. But in addition to asking about the what today, I also encourage you all to ask about who people are that you talk to. Because when people ask me what has changed and what has stayed the same since you've been, it's been 20 years now since I've been an alum and a student, my answer in terms of what has remained the same always comes back to the same thing, which is the people, right? And I think that one of the things that I love most about dedicating my life's work back to the place where I kind of had some formative years of my life is the fact that there's a humanness here. There's a humanness that we center everything around in terms of our intentional program to the way in which we go about our day and interacting with other people. So when you talk to people about what's your favorite thing and what's your favorite class and what's your favorite activity, also ask them, who are you? Where do you come from? What's your story? Because I think that you will see that beyond our incredible and amazing program, what really makes this community go are the relationships and the people that we have here, because without that, you can have as amazing of a program as you want, but then it's all going to be for essentially nothing if the people don't make it the program. So I encourage you to do that as well. So as many of you may or may not know, our program can be kind of divided into two experiences. One is our 9th and 10th grade core experience, and the other is our 11th and 12th grade experience. And I'm not going to go through every single little detail here today with you. I'm also around if you want to ask about the nitty-gritty. I'm all about the details, and I love to be in the weeds, so I'm happy to have those conversations with you. And I also know that down the road in the enrollment process, we're going to have some more kind of directive in terms of how you get enrolled for these things and choose your program. But I'm just going to kind of quickly highlight some of the things. So in the 9th and 10th grade, we have our core program where our science and our humanities courses are all kind of standard across the board. So those 3 courses for all 9th and 10th graders will be the same. And then your math, world languages, and art courses will all be kind of determined by placement. And don't worry about placement, that's down the road, right? So we got to get you here first, and then we'll talk about that afterwards. And then, as we kind of then continue on in our 11th and 12th grade curriculum, that's when things really start to open up. And then what you'll notice is that our 11th and 12th grade program mirrors similar to what you might see at a small liberal arts college, to be honest, in terms of the offerings that we have, in terms of the choice that students have in building out their own academic experience. And as you'll notice in classes today, our teachers don't simply like to stand up there and deliver information at students. You'll see them doing things. You'll see them, hopefully you'll be walking around and engaging with the rest of the class over the course of the 80-minute block. And so we love our students actively engaging in their learning and taking ownership of what it is they're doing in the classroom. And so beyond that, in terms of our electives, once you get to 11th and 12th grade, we don't just want kind of a standard cookie cutter curriculum. That's really not at all what Webb is about and what our teachers are about. We have some incredible depth and breadth of course offerings. We have upwards of 50 electives that are all designed by our Webb faculty. That reflect the spirit of Ray Alf and kind of what he did, right? Instead of standing there and talking about dinosaur bones and showing, slides of dinosaur bones, they probably didn't have slides at that point. It was probably Well, yeah, slides, but the old slide projector, right? Not these kinds of slides. He took kids in a van out to Barstow and started digging. And ironically, today, some of our ninth graders will be going to that same site in Barstow as part of our annual ninth grade peccary trip, where they will also be digging and looking for new fossils. And so our advanced studies courses, some of the titles are here, and again, there are way too many to put on the screen, but these kind of help to do a deep dive into a particular subject area, similar to what you see in college. Some are semester long, some are year long. And so again, there's a lot of variety. So a typical junior at Webb will take 4 different humanities courses over the course of 1 year, which is pretty phenomenal in terms of the breadth of inexperience. So students can kind of really explore their passions and dive into what it is that they're interested in learning. Our advisors go through a very intentional process, which we're also, ironically, in the middle of right now in terms of course selection process to help guide them to think about what is an appropriate balance of rigor, of interest, et cetera, that they might have to consider as they put together a comprehensive program. And then we always are thinking about new things. So what I love about Webb is the fact that we don't settle. One of my kind of mottos of life, that, if you will, that I have for myself is never settle. And I learned that while I was a student at Webb. I learned that, things being good is good, or things being great are great, but there also could be more. It could be different. It doesn't have to always be the same. And what I love about our faculty here is that they are incredibly inventive and incredibly invested in what they do on the day-to-day. And so we never kind of settle. We are always thinking about new courses, new offerings, new programming. And so there are many new courses coming online next year up here in terms of our advanced studies. But I also wanted to highlight just one of them, which is our Technology and Innovation Seminar. For those of you who tuned in on Zoom last week, I apologize, I'm going to kind of repeat myself, but I'm still trying to get over the fact that this is still happening because it's that incredible. But our Tech and Innovation Seminar is essentially is almost like a little incubator for students to solve problems that they have questions about. And so currently we have a student trying to use AI in order to track eye movements so that patients with ALS who might not have mobility can communicate in using those eye movements. We also have another student who is using AI to calibrate the launch angle of their rocket that they built that failed to launch last year. And so we want to give them a space, we want to give them time, and we want to give them resources to be able to explore these questions. And again, that's kind of one end of the extreme. You don't have to find a cure for cancer or launch a rocket to be in that class. It's okay, because we'll also have students who come in with 0 coding experience, who don't understand at all what implications of AI are, and we want those students to be there too. That's the beauty of the course. And then, of course, our AI project, and you'll hear from Abhi, who will be on our panel in just a few minutes. But our AI project is kind of our way at Webb to lean into what is happening in the world right now. Right? I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on is the fact that we're not going to kind of sit back and wait for things to happen. We're going to be right in the thick of things, getting messy with the process. And I think that that's kind of, similar to what you'll see in the classes today with our students. But in the AI project, we're also prototyping and developing our own Webb GPT, which, will not do your homework for you. It will not get you out of all your commitments. It will not do any of that. But it will be a tool for us to kind of investigate what goes into a GPT, how we develop it, how we model it, how we market it, how we communicate about it, right? All those kind of life skills that you might need that can transfer into later phases of your life. So if you want to be at the forefront of leaning into new and emerging technologies, there's no better place than Webb to do that. But our program doesn't end in the classroom in terms of our academic experiences. Like I said, we have ninth graders going out to Barstow this weekend for their annual peccary trip. We have our entire Integrated Math 2 class going to the fair in just a few weeks to think about all of the different math that you can do in a fun setting, because math is fun, contrary to what some of you may be thinking right now. It is, okay? Those are kind of the big scale things, but we also had our ninth graders go to UCR to use their lab last week because that was going to give them that much better of a biotech experience. We're in the biotech unit in our Evo Bio class right now. And so for them to be able to use college level lab spaces and resources, it was pretty incredible. And so these are just a few of the examples of places that our classes will go. And in addition to that, we also forge partnerships, really important partnerships with faculty at local institutions. And so, for instance, we have many of our students every Wednesday night go over to Harvey Mudd to take a computer science class there with Professor Zach Dodds, who's been working with us for a few years now. There are some new exciting opportunities that are coming out of that relationship as well. And so, it's not just what happens within our classroom that we're really proud of. We actually, in many ways, pride ourselves of getting our students outside of our classroom in order to enhance and engage their learning experiences. But it doesn't stop there. There's more, right? Much of the time, actually, so a lot of the time spent at Webb is actually outside of the classroom. It's in our afternoons, it's in our residential program, it's in our weekend program. There's a lot listed here, and this is just an example of all of the different afternoon and co-curricular offerings that we offer for each of the 3 seasons. We know that learning doesn't just happen in the classroom. We know that many of our relationships that we build happen outside of the classroom with our coaches, with our afternoon activity advisors, with our dorm heads, with all of the folks who live on campus who are invested in all of your lives. And so we have an incredibly rich and immersive experience in the classroom, from the field to the stage to the museum to the dorms. And these are things that beyond the academic day today, starting at around 2:30, you have the opportunity to visit and experience. And again, ask the why and ask the what, but also ask about the who and who the people are in there. So what does a day at Webb typically look like? It's pretty busy. We have classes. We have 3 classes a day. We're on a block schedule. So again, similar to kind of what you would see in a college. We don't meet every single day of the week in terms of one specific class. But then you might have a class on Monday morning, but you also have that same class on Friday afternoon. So you get to kind of experience class at different times of the day, which, is good brain science, good learning, and good adaptability. But throughout the day, we also have really intentional programming. Remember the word intentional I kind of brought up at the beginning of this, where we have checkpoints. So even in our chapel program, which is one of the hallmark traditions of our school, where seniors are given the opportunity to kind of address the entire community, and they're incredibly powerful, reflective moments for not just that student, but for the entire community. But even in that, we sit by advisory, and so advisors can quickly check in with their crew to see how they're doing, to see what's going on, to see what they might need help with, right? We then have intentional advisory built in, and then in class meetings and assemblies and things along those lines, those are another checkpoint for us to be able to say, how are you doing? What's going on? What can I help with? Do you need any help? And we also have built-in office hours into our day, so students can go and drop in and see teachers. That might be their teacher or other teachers who teach the same class in order to get some extra help or extra support. And obviously then built in, we also have our evening study program, where there are many communal spaces open on campus for students to do kind of informal group work and also formal group work if they did need to do a little bit in addition to that. So again, this is a lot, and I mean, when I close my eyes, sometimes I see all of these things moving around, right? Because it's second nature for me, and so it might be a little confusing to all of you. But if you do have questions about what the day-to-day looks like, or where there's flexibility built in, or anything specific about that, like I said, please feel free to find me throughout the day. And then later on through the enrollment process, we'll have some more specifics in terms of how this actually plays out with actual classes and actual things that you might be interested in. All right. So that's just a little, like I said, very quick overview of our program. I could stand here literally all day, probably all week, talking about all the amazing things that we have to offer. But instead of hearing me talk, I don't want to talk at you all day. I wanted to invite 5 community members up to the stage to introduce themselves, to introduce kind of how they're involved at Webb and what their roles are here in the various different hats that they wear. and then to ask them a question, just to give you a glimpse of some of, again, the people who make this place the incredible place it is. So I'm going to invite our 5 panelists up really quickly, and then we'll get going from there. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and just have each panel member introduce themselves, their role at Webb, or kind of how they're involved here, and some of the multiple ways they're involved here. So are we starting over with Morgan? Okay, great.
Good morning. My name is Morgan Kapp. I teach Spanish. I also coach track and field and am involved in many of the things that Mike was just talking about. But a little bit about me and being at Webb is I started Webb in 2010 and then left 5 years later to continue graduate school in Spain and thought I might explore some other things. But after 3 years, I wanted to come back. I really like Webb kids. I really like being a part of the faculty community here. I feel like I live in a little village. And so I'm currently raising my own son here on campus, and I am also Dean of Faculty, and part of that role is nurturing our faculty community and enjoying and supporting each other.
Hello, I am Dr. Myrene Balisi. So you've heard a bunch about the ALF Museum at this stage. I'm the curator of that museum. So I work with our director, Dr. Andy Farkey. We're a pretty special place because we are the only research active paleontological institution that is on the campus of a secondary school in California, or the United States, or possibly even the world. So this brings incredible opportunities to our students. So for example, as museum curator, I help direct the research and collections in the museum, and I might get more opportunities to talk about that in a little bit, but basically after this, I'm gonna put on my hiking boots, get out of this suit, and put on my hiking clothes, because we're going out to the Barstow in the Mojave Desert to collect some fossils with the freshman class. So that's just one of the things that we do at the museum.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy Maxon. I have been at Webb for, I think this is my 20th year. Obviously, I love it. And I'm a teacher in the humanities department. I started teaching history classes, and now I teach a combination of lots of different humanities classes, which has been really fun. I am in the afternoon program in the weight room, lifting weights every afternoon with kids and running that program. And then after working for many, many years as a lead class advisor to several graduating classes who have gone through the program, this year I started working with the Honor Council, merging together 2 really fundamental groups at Webb. The Honor Committee and the Honor Cabinet are now unifying into one Honor Council, and I've been working as a faculty, advisor on that, and that's been just glorious. So that's my role at Webb thus far.
Hey everybody, good morning. My name is Abi Mantha. I am an alum, class of 2014, so it's exciting for me to be coming back here to Webb after many years. After Webb, I went to USC and studied computer science, and when I was back at Webb, computer science was not really a thing, but 10 years later, it's exciting to see the program that's been built up. And after my time at USC, I went to work for Mercedes-Benz Research and Development for 5 years, and I worked on self-driving car technology. So I would travel all over the world, working with hundreds of engineers to build machines that can drive on their own. And this sits right at the forefront of exciting innovations like artificial intelligence. Really quickly, how many of you have heard of ChatGPT or have used it? If you want to go ahead and raise your hands. All right, so that makes sense. So one of the exciting things that we're doing here at Webb is we're kicking off the AI project at Webb, and this is arguably one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, having worked on quite a few exciting things. But it's a great opportunity to lean in and run towards this exciting, big, scary thing called artificial intelligence. And one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to Webb was this is where I learned some really important skills and kicked off my own exploration into the field of computer science and understanding what I can do with technology. And as we look at what happens when students graduate from Webb, they go on to become the future leaders in some really, really important fields. They go on to become future politicians, future technologists, investors, scientists. The list goes on. And in order to equip students with those skills, in order to be successful, they're going to need to learn how to grapple with this thing called artificial intelligence. It's here. We cannot put this away. We can't put it back in the bag. So it's important that we equip our students with the right skills in order to make ethical decisions, which sits at the heart of our school's mission and the Honor Council itself. And I'm excited to be able to come back and help assist and see where Webbies go into the future. I'll be available outside if you have any specific questions. But yeah, thank you.
My name is Amal Thomas. I'm the proud head football coach here at Webb for the past 12 seasons. I also help with girls basketball, and my wife and I have 5 children, 3 of which have graduated through Webb, and we have a current junior and a 10-year-old who has a little ways to go. I also work with the AI program, but it's athletic intelligence. I have the pleasure of being with my players arguably more than the teachers. We see them every day, and it's usually 2 to 3 hours a day, and I take pride in that. It's my staff's mission, and I'm speaking for all the coaches on campus, to really be that crucial piece in this important part of their development. So as they're maturing into young men and women, and we're kind of seeing their daily flaws, we take pride in being a part of their life and maturing them in their process. So when we look at football specifically, I think it's the ultimate team sport. You cannot be successful unless everybody's on the same page. And there's a lot of life lessons in that. So football-wise, I can talk forever, and I've been told keep it to a minute or so. But I do just want to emphasize that your children are being entrusted with a community of people that not only are teaching, but this is a community where students live. So there's literally no safer place for education to take place than Webb. And I just want to illuminate on something that Michael was speaking about earlier. My mantra for football is always get better. If you believe in those 2 words, you realize that you haven't arrived yet, and there's still work to do. And I think that we have a situation at Webb academically, and I kind of fault Webb for this. Sometimes we don't brag as much as we need to. We just assume that's why you're here. But as a parent, it's important for all of you to know that the people that know about Webb are the people that matter. So admissions counselors from the colleges, everybody knows what Webb offers. I've been in academics for 30 years, both at the high school level, college level, graduate level, and Webb is the cream of the crop, and I'm proud that my children go here.
All right, thank you for that, for those intros. So I just want to ask one question so that we can make sure that we all get you out of here on time and that you get to go explore and have your day. But my question for the panel, if everybody could just take a turn answering the question, is what keeps you coming back to Webb?
To me, Webb, many things keep me coming back, but one of the big things is Webb, to me, feels like a little village, and the students are a huge part of my life. I'm a part of their life, but it really does feel like I get so much from them. I really think Webb kids are special because of not only the kids who choose to come to Webb, but all these wonderful people who are involved in their lives. Really does make for really cool kids to be around. And also our community here. It's really nice to walk out of my house all the time and see either students that I know or students that I'm getting to know, faculty and other staff on campus that just really make this feel, to me, such a rich village to live in. So I think that's what keeps me coming back.
Well, what keeps me coming back? Well, for background, this is only my second year here at Webb, and thus far, I think it's really cool to get to work with the students here. The students here are some of the best, some of the brightest, and and I get to work with them. And for example, in multiple capacities. So, for example, I work with them in the afternoon activity program. That's our after-school program. Students get to do microfossil sorting on sediments that we collected from Wyoming over the summer, because over the summer we have field work there as well with students. So over the summers, we go with students to Wyoming, dig up some dinosaurs, dig up some things that are also not dinosaurs, including a lot of shark teeth. What were sharks doing in the middle of Wyoming? Well, there was once an interior seaway that was there, and our students have the opportunity to study that firsthand, both in the field and also when we take back those sediments to the Webb campus, to the museum, and our afternoon activity students get to do that every single day, finding new things every single day. So that's one capacity in which the paleontology program happens, and that's one reason that I keep coming back to Webb. Another reason is that so I also teach the honors paleontology, honors museum research class, which is a year-long class that is basically the intro to the paleo, the advanced studies paleo classes that are in the 11th and 12th grades. And it's been so fun for me to observe students growing, right, in mental, intellectual, emotional capacity through this class, right, this series of classes, because basically by the end of the 4 years, I've been with them for a good chunk of time, or of that time. And so, for example, last year was my first time teaching advanced studies, and this year, my students from last year are presenting their research, their original research that they've conducted with me for the last 1.5 years now. We are going to Michigan this June to present their original research at an international paleontology conference. There will be at least 1,000 people there, right? And not only that, but 2 of our students also got their first ever conference travel grants to attend this conference, therefore paying their own way through their own merit to do that at the high school level. Like, that is really rare, but our students are so capable, and with mentorship, they can really get it done. So yeah, those are just some of the reasons that keep me coming back to Webb.
I think just on a personal level, like, I've always just seen learning as play. Like, it's interesting to learn things, and it's interesting to experiment and find out new information and think about new classes and think about how everything connects together. And this is just such a standard part of the way I think. And it's been really nice to find a community where kind of everybody here just sees it in that way. People at Webb like to learn things, and they like to do things, and they like to experiment with things. And it's just not a stagnant place at all. It's just a fascinating place. And the other thing about Webb is that people just kind of know what it's like and know the importance of just caring about each other. And automatically, I just feel like very cared for as an adult, and that the students here are really, really, really cared for because we like each other and want everybody to thrive. Like, it's just, that's the natural way of doing and being while here. And so it's just been a wonderful playground for me in terms of academics, in terms of athletics. Like, it's a place where you can find and discover everything. It's just been really great in that way.
Yeah, so I think this is a great question on why did I return back to Webb. When I first came to Webb, that was more of a decision made for me by my mother. But it's this opportunity to come back to Webb. I've been thinking about this a lot recently as I've just been watching students, and I see myself and my old classmates in them. Webb taught me some incredibly important skills, things like integrity, things like building habits. Things like being able to follow through on the things that you say you're going to do. These are timeless skills that are going to bring you value in whatever you pursue later on in your life. And when I think back to my time at Webb, I was a cross-country runner, and oftentimes I'd see myself out on the trails alone, and I would have to learn to bring my way back home, bring my way back to my destination. And there were some times when it would be hours out on the trails, and eventually we'd make it home, but it required us to learn how to do that. And I think that that was a skill that for me was incredibly formative. I would go so far as saying that a Webb education is arguably the most formative time of your life, more so than what you end up doing in college. College is a great time to explore, and absolutely had an amazing time during my college years, but I learned things like how to learn when I was at Webb, and those are skills that I will never forget. So for me to come back here at a time as crucial as we are in right now, when we have things like AI knocking on our doorstep, for me it's a great privilege to be able to help equip our Webb students grow into those future leaders. So I see this just as an opportunity to come back and give my time back to these amazing students.
As a parent, safety. I teach at a public high school. We all are aware of the news flashes that come about. So safety is number one for me. Educationally, as a parent, the comparison between Webb and other institutions, there is no comparison, in my humble estimation. When we were, as a family of a single income family, confronted with paying for high school, which is something neither my wife or I were accustomed to, it basically came down to what are we willing to sacrifice for our child's great experience. So if I was presented with the option of either going to UC Santa Barbara, where I did go, I'm an All-American and Hall of Famer, had I had the opportunity to go to Harvard instead, and this is no knock on UC Santa Barbara, great institution, that would have been a no-brain decision for me. And for that opportunity to be put at my wife and I's footsteps with Webb, there's some great local public high schools in the area. There's some other good private high schools in the area, but comparatively, this was a no-brainer for my wife and I. So we sacrificed our initial wants and needs, maybe a new car that year, for our first son's education. So as far as being a parent, that's what keeps bringing us back, and hopefully our fifth child will have that experience as well. As a coach, what brings me back is really twofold. One, it's for the players. I've developed lifelong relationships with my players. So much so, just before I walked in here, a parent came to me and said, "Can you call our daughter? She just injured herself. It'll really be a big pick-me-up to hear from you." And that, to me, is why I coach. You develop these relationships that are forever lasting. But the second side of it, I'm really coaching for you, the parents, because you have all these great opinions and you have all this wisdom that you impart onto your child, and they never listen. So I will be that voice that's going to reiterate the same things you've been saying for now 14 or 15 years. And it'll finally sink in, because I've had that experience as a parent where my son or daughter comes home and says, "Oh, my teacher or my coach said this," and I'm like, "I've been saying this for years." So I promise to give those ethics and those morals to your children, and I, again, am speaking for all the coaches on staff.
All right, let's give it up for our panel here. Thank you all. Yeah, you guys can. And I know that when Coach Thomas talks, I listen. So I know that that definitely will happen. So I'm just going to quickly now turn it over to Dr. Jamila Everett, who I know many of you obviously know. who's just going to give you a little bit of stage direction and some more information for the day. Look forward to seeing all of you throughout the day. Please don't hesitate to reach out in case you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I am so thrilled to have everyone here on campus. Just another round of applause and congratulations to all of you. This is such an incredible day. We've spent months reviewing applications and in selecting this incredible class. And it's, this year was really competitive. We have 15% admit rate. We've admitted 150 students. And so currently here today, we have about 62 students, but we also have students that we've admitted from all different parts of the country, all over the world that couldn't be here today. So we're live streaming it now. So you can say a wave to your future classmates from all over the world. We have students from Russia and Singapore and China and Vietnam, and so it's really exciting. They can't be here today, but they're listening, and they're coming to some of our virtual events. So it's exciting to see you make connections with your future classmates. So we're really excited that you're here. So wanted to give you just some quick housekeeping things. Everyone, hopefully, at breakfast, got a chance to look at the schedule, hopefully. So we have a jam-packed day for you, and we want to get you on your way. So hopefully you'll have some time to review it, but we're going to do some things. We're going to separate some students and parents throughout the day, so students can talk to students and parents can talk to parents, but you're going to reunite throughout the day as well, so hopefully that'll be a good for your family. Everyone can have more. We have lots of schedules, so if students want extra copies or parents want extra copies, the admission team can get that to you. So what we're going to do, if you have your name tag, right, on the back of your name tag should be your class visit. So it'll give you the name of your class and a color-coded tag. What we're going to do is, parents, you're going to be in here for a parent panel. We're going to take a quick break, probably. No break, thank you, Holly. Okay, you're going to be in here for your parent panel. And then students, you're going to go to the class visit. And so when you exit the theater, you're going to have lots of Webb community members there with signs that they're going to hold up. And then everyone's going to direct you to, so make sure you get to the right class, okay? So now while students are in class, parents, you're going to be here listening to another amazing panel of current parents talk about their experience, and then we're going to switch it up, right? And then we're all going to have time to have lunch separately, and then come back together for our chapel talk, college guidance, and the rest of the schedule. So it's going to be a really fabulous day. We're so excited you're here. One other quick announcement: if you lost a hoodie at check-in, we have that for you at check-in, so you can come get that. And so we're so thrilled you're here, and it's so exciting. So maybe if I could have all the students stand up and exit and find your class. Parents, you will get to see them again soon. Thank you. Wonderful. All right, wonderful. And then parents, we're going to start the parent panel shortly. If you need to take a quick restroom break, there's restrooms right to the left, but we're going to start in just a few minutes. So thank you so much.